find them in a better place than you did last time, okay? Good. Hang on a minute. Don't move. Stay right where you are. I'll be right back, okay?
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Unfiltered with Brie. Today we have Joel Wynkoop today. He is an actor, director, producer, and writer. So a little bit of a brief bio. In 1996, he had Alternative Cinema magazine named him the King of B movies, and he already attained the achievement of over 15 B movies by that time. What an accomplishment. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, just my my partner Tim Ritter and I have been working together since 1984. And when that alternative cinema came up, it was I think it was between 94 and 96. I had done 6 movies. I think Lost Faith is included in there. And I think that was about the time of Killing Spree, Lost Faith, Wicked Games. And then I think I did 2 movies for Kevin Lindemuth. And so then I got tagged with that King of the B movies thing, which was, I don't know, kind of cool. And because of all the movies I'd done then, but now I've done over 200 movies. And yeah, it's just kind of cool because when Tim and I started out, we had to go to video store to sell our movies. So we actually did the Hawaiian Tropic did it. When Hawaiian Tropic started, they put their stuff together in their bottle all by themselves. Then they got in their cars and they just drove to surf shops and said, "Hey, we got this product. We call it Hawaiian Tropic. You want to put it in your store?" And they were like, "Yeah." And then it became huge. Sadly,
Oh
we
my
didn't become
gosh.
huge. But Tim and I did the same thing. We jumped in our cars, and nobody does that today. Well, there's no video store. But Tim and I jumped in our cars in 1984, and we drove from Jupiter all the way to Satellite Beach, up by NASA and everything. And we would hit every video store on the way. Next day, we started Jupiter and we drive all the way down to Miami, and we'd hit every video store on the way down looking for them. And then all the way on the back, if we missed any or took different routes. Next day, we go right back up by Satellite Beach, hit all the other video stores that we did not hit. Or sometimes you'd walk in, do your whole sales pitch, and the guy would be like, "Well, the manager's not here today. You have to come back tomorrow." And we were like, "Oh man, we can't keep driving up." You spend a lot of gas. So, but that's how we did. That's how we sold Twisted Illusions, Truth or Dare, Killing Spree, Lost Faith, Wicked Games. I think by then we had a distributor, which was Ron Bonk from Salt City Home Video, which he changed to Sub Rosa Studios. And Ron picked up our movie Creep. And it was neat because in 1995, I remember him telling me on the phone, I called him for my work job, Crystal Water. And he goes, "Creep is the best shot on video movie ever made." Of course, that was in 1995. What we shot on is the equivalent of like the red camera today, because what we were shooting on, that was the camera. Super VHS was a big deal then. If you shot on Super VHS, you were like, "Man, you guys are shooting on Super 8. That's awesome." But technology always keeps changing. So when Tim and
Mm-hmm.
I were doing it with even the high 8 camera, and we tested the high 8 camera, a company came out with a high 8 camera, and they gave it to Tim and I to shoot Wicked Games. They say, we want you guys to trial run the camera, let us know how it works. It was terrible. The videotape would backwind out of the camera and it would spool down on the ground, and we'd be like, "Oh man." And that's why we had to shoot the movie twice. But yeah,
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
that's just all the pitfalls. Nobody really knows that today of the pain you went through. Now it's kind of, you can just pull your phone out and go, okay, action, run in front of the camera. Oh, that was good. Let's do another take. Let's get another cut in there. You know, we were using actual cameras and then editing it together and then trying to market it. Our first movie, Twisted Illusions, had a little short in it called Truth or Dare. We sent Twisted Illusions away to Peerless Films, Jeffrey Miller in Chicago, Illinois. He liked it so
Mhm.
much, he backed it up with, it was almost, I say $1 million. I use that loosely because I remember Tim would go through the files when we were making the movie, and he'd go, look at all this money they're spending on us. And there would be not only, that like the stunt man, the camera people were getting 600 a day. The stunt guy would get, whatever he wanted. Plus we had all, they would money on the business cards, the office production. So all that is about $1 million. We were blowing cars up. Uh, we did that. One day we had I remember chaining Jerry in, and I was doing stunt work too, the fight scenes. And Jerry said, you sure you don't want to do this, Joel? And I go, no, Barry, I'll let you handle this one. Jerry Barry, he did the stunt work in Prom Night, the horror movie Prom Night with Jerry Lee Curtis way back in the day in the 70s. He also
Oh
did Evelyn
wow.
Kidd. He told me the story how the director said, the director told Jerry, he said, okay, Jerry, let's go for a ride. I want you to jump out of this car at 60 miles an hour. And Jerry goes, okay. So he floors it up to 60 and he tells the director, he goes, jump. And the director goes, what, are you crazy? He goes, exactly. He goes, I'll do the jump at 45, but I'm not doing it at 60. And they go, okay. And it's in the movie. You see it. That's Jerry jumping out of the car. And in
Oh
Prom
my
Night,
gosh.
there's a big fall at the end of the movie down a staircase, and that's Jerry plummeting. So he did our stunt work. So he asked me, he goes, you sure don't want to do this stunt? And he's being funny with me because he's all chained in and we put stuntman gel all over him. And he raced the car down to the hill, crashed into the other car. Bob Shelley, who worked on Ghostbusters and Code of Silence with Chuck Norris, he came out. He has a special, it's not gasoline, but he pours this all over like gasoline, put close enough. And
Hmm.
then, because the car just does the initial crash, then he's got to light it on fire. So then he lights it on fire, runs back. The whole car catches on fire. Jerry catches on fire. He kicks open the door, gets out, and then he's full body burn, running around. Which me, kind of, I wouldn't say a kid, but 27. I'm going, man, is he acting now, or is he really burning to death?
Oh
And
my
then we call
gosh.
cut, and we run in with fire extinguishers and put him out. And he's like, oh, that was great, huh? So he was okay, but for me, so young, first big movie, I was like, man, is that guy dying, or is he okay? And when that flame went off, it went all the way up to the top of the telephone poles, hit the transformer, blew the transformer, knocked out all the power in West Palm Beach, in this
Oh my
general area,
gosh.
and that was where the mayor lives. So the mayor of West Palm was like, "What the hell's going on here?" And yeah, so we knocked out all the power because we picked this out. We had the permits. Of course, you have to get insurance and permits and all this. But
Hmm.
yeah, that was a big day that day. And then all the traffic that was being stopped because we had people out on the road going, "Stop! You can't come down here." They just abandoned their cars and they all just came to watch the movie. I had 300 people, and between Jeff Miller, the producer, and he
Hmm.
and myself, we were out there going, "Okay, everybody can stay and watch. We have to be very careful." Because one guy came out from his house and he's like, "Arnie, Arnie." And Jeff Miller goes, "Sir, what's your problem?" And he goes, "I'm looking for my dog." And he goes, "I got a man that's gonna kill himself here. We have to do, we're doing this stunt right now. I'm sure your dog will come home, but he's got to concentrate." So the guy was like, "Okay, I'm sorry." But there's like 300 people all watching this. But the funniest part is they just left their cars on the road and came down to watch the movie be shot. That's way back in the day. Um, we sent Twisted Illusions, which was a little short in there called Truth or Dare, and that's what we got the
Hmm.
movie for. And this is the movie we made. So it was really a big, still a low budget movie for $1 million, but a bigger Hollywood thing than Tim and I could do. Because then we went on and Tim did Killing Spree, and then we did. I did Lost Faith, and then we did Wicked Games, and then it just kind of branched out to do all these movies. And then when I moved over to Tampa, then I just started flying around the country doing other movie makers movies, and still doing that today. Still making movies. I took a break to write and draw a comic book, and then I'm writing a novel about the comic book called Force 9. And yeah, so that's what's been going on kind of right now. I mean, just it's like everything that comes my way. Like I just had a guy write me tonight to do his movie Bro Man, Anthony,
Oh,
and I'm gonna be getting together to do that with him. And then I still do a lot of stuff. People just write me on Facebook and they go, "Man, we'd love to have you in our movie. What do you need?" I tell them what I want, and then either I'll shoot my scenes here, or they'll fly me out, or they'll fly down and do their scenes, and then they just pack it in the can, and then it's in their movie.
that's
So yeah, just
incredible.
busy with it.
That is absolutely incredible. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to come on to Unfiltered with Brie with me.
No, this is great. No, the only thing I'm doing tonight, I will probably write in my book, but and then I kind of walk, run, and mostly walk now, but I'll do 10 miles a night. And so that after your show, that's what I'll do. I'll go out and walk 10 miles. And then I'll probably come back and do some more, writing on the book. Or I'm locking down all the deals for the comic book. I just locked that down this afternoon with the printer.
Nice.
Having so much trouble getting it printed from a comic book publisher, and they just ignored me for like a week, just wouldn't write me back, nothing. And
Oh my
in the
gosh.
meantime, it was frustrating, so I went and seen like 6, 7, 8 publishers, or not publishers,
Hmm.
printers. And I finally got one this afternoon. I just locked it down. I said, let's just go with you and just do it. So I'm looking forward to coming that. We have Tampa Bay Screams coming up this month. I think it's the 28th and the 29th. So I want the book there, and I got my t-shirts there. I got my magnets. I've got stickers. I got all my movies on VHS, DVD, and a Blu-ray. And so we're kind of getting ready for that too, and looking forward to that.
That's incredible. Can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Oh, the book is the same as the comic book. The comic. Oh, there's one of my new shirts.
Oh, nice.
Tampa Bay shirt. That's a bunch of my characters on like probably 20 characters on there. The book is called Force 9. It's a group of superheroes. The main superhero is my character that I made for myself way back in 1975. His name is Ray Blast. And that's the funny thing. When I was drawing, I would just be drawing to entertain myself from high school. My dad was like, my son doesn't go out and date girls or do drugs or beat up people. He sits in his room and draws stupid superheroes. My dad never liked superheroes, so he didn't like me doing that. But it was better than chasing girls and hanging out with your friends that are doing drugs or getting into fights and staying out till 4 in the morning. I just stayed in my room and drew comic books. So
Exactly.
then my friend saw it, and then like Robert, he goes, "Hey, can you make me one of these dudes?" And I go, "Yeah." So we created Alpha. And then my other buddy was like, "Hey, I want to be a superhero." And then that was Don. We made him Centrosome. And it just went on till I had nine people. There was more, actually. Then I changed my wife into one. And one of the guys that helps is putting up the money for the book, he's Titan. And my wife is Talera. And so the book version, the novel, goes more in depth. It's about this group of superheroes. And one of them is my nephew Terry. He created his own character Blue Star, but he passed away last
Oh,
year in December, or right before Thanksgiving, I believe.
oh, my
And he was already
condolences.
in the book, but I made it kind of memorial to him at the beginning. But it starts out and then the thing I'm missing is the first comic book was called Force 9-2, but it had the Hulk and Dr. Doom in it. And I got a cease and desist from Marvel. They go, you can't be doing this. And I apologize. They said, no problem, no lawsuits or nothing like that. Because a lot of those books got out because I sold them, didn't think,
Mhm.
I wasn't trying to plagiarize. I was having fun with it, and I made the books from it because I did them all in 1981. So for this round, I created Dr. Doom. The character is going to be Dr. Insidious, and the Hulk character I made a guy called Onslaught. So in the book version, it goes a lot longer. It goes, my nephew Terry has this thing called the Blue Star. The bad guy Insidious steals it from him, opens a portal in time and space, goes to another planet, starts destroying it. The other superheroes find out that they're there trying to fight, and my character and Terry's character are getting pulverized. Then the whole team comes in and they fight, but this guy's just so incredibly strong that he can beat all the superheroes. And it goes on. In the book version, it'll tell like three books in a row. It's fighting him and then fighting the next guy, and then they kind of the superheroes just to get together in this place called Nardia. And that's the long version in
Nice.
the book. In the comic book, it just is the fight between Force 9, The Good Guys, and Dr. Insidious. And it's 80 pages, but when you put it in comic book form, it's 40 pages because you have your front cover and then you have the inside cover. So
Yes.
you got the comic book as one, and then you got the novel on the other side, which I'm anxious to get that done too and get that out so people can read it.
That'd be incredible. I would love to read it.
All right. Well, you get a copy. I'll send you a copy.
I can't wait. I'll definitely let you know what I think. I know it's going to be an absolute bestseller.
Well, I mean, it's not going to be like, you see, and this is where I'm really real. A lot of guys will, sometimes they're just, when they come on with their movies, they're like, this is the greatest movie. It's a blockbuster. It's the greatest thing in the world. And I'm not like that. I'm like, here's a little piece of crap I made. I hope you guys like it. I, put this thing together by myself, and here it is. Because I get like, I don't want to say picked on, but a lot of other movie makers are like, oh yeah, Joel Wynkoop, he's just shooting on his little high definition camera. I don't have big, the red, black dragon and all that stuff. I don't have that. I usually don't put together like teams. Like I got a buddy of mine, Marcus Kempton. He can get Warner, the cameraman. He'll get a whole crew. And he'll just get all these people. But sometimes, like and Marcus and I have shot on a lot of stuff. We get there, and then I'm like, what are those dudes doing over there? And he's like, well, they're blah, blah. I go, they're not doing anything. They can leave. We don't need all these people here. So basically, when I shoot, it's just my wife and I. And she does a lot, and I do a lot. The last thing we did was called 187 Times. And I rented a studio, Orlando studio. It's the first time I actually bought permits and insurance, because they wouldn't let me in there without it, because I used 26 locations in that building and paid all my actors, because it's very important for me to be paid. So I want to pay my actors, because a lot of filmmakers are like, well, I'll give you an IMDb credit and
exactly,
and you'll get it on the back end. Well, the back end never comes around. They all say that, but it never comes around. And so I'm like, nah, I just, like Anthony Wayne, he stayed all day. I kept like, do you mind waiting while I get these other scenes? Because he's a close friend of mine. Yeah. And I told Kathy, I go, dig him out $200. He's been here all day. Take care of him. So we did. But everybody, Ian Stevens, Ian, he played my president. So, he showed up. He got paid. And Ian, of course, great friend of mine. We talk a lot on Facebook and on the phone. So, yeah. So I guess just, doing that, it's very important to me to take care of them and also for everybody to have a good time. And then I've had other ones where the actor's like 2 days before I shoot, I think he called me and he just goes, oh, I just want to know how I'm going to get there. And I go, what do you mean, how are you going to get there? Well, can I ride with you and Kathy? And I go, no, man, we're getting there at like 6 a.m. We're going to be there till like 2 a.m, the next day. Well, how am I going to get there? I go, dude, I don't know. You took the part. What do you mean? You don't have a car? I don't have a car. I go, why didn't you tell me that 2 months ago when I gave you the part? Well, I thought I'd get a car by now. So I'm like, oh, he goes, well, what are you going to do? You want to reshoot with me? I go, are you kidding me? No, I got to get another actor. So that's how Anthony got the part of the police captain. I got off track there. I apologize. I don't know if I covered.
No, not at all. This is your interview. We're here to talk about you. And so that's your most recent work, correct?
Not really. Then my wife and I did a scene for Matt Skinner for his movie Air Fryer Massacre, because he contacted me on Facebook and he goes, I really want you in my movie Screaming. And so I said, Screaming, you got it. Made a deal on the money. He paid me. We shot the scene here at my house. I sent it into him. I did 2 other movies for Cody Tudor's son. I'm trying to remember his boy's name now, but I just did, huh? What is it? I can't. Clay? Fire. Oh, Blaze. His name is. Isn't that funny? Every time I do an interview, I'm doing one with you, everybody else, when I do these things, I'm like, I don't know. And I'll scream to my wife. He screams names back. Yeah, Blaze Tudor. He's 16 years old. He really wanted me in his movies. I did 3 of his movies. I go, Blaze, you don't owe me a dime, man. I want to do this for you. Because when I was 15, I was shooting Super 8, and I know what it's like. So I did scenes for him. And then the other night, Zach, forget his last name, Zach Keen. Say she knows. Zach Keen contacted me because Joel, how much money do you want to do this scene? Actually, I think I told him what I wanted, but then he did my movie Craigline Incident, although I paid him for it. But I told him, I go, Zach, you're one of those guys, I'll do it for free. And I shot the scene on the side of my house. The next day, he already had it cut into the movie, and he sent me the whole movie. And I was like, this is pretty neat, Zach. Good job.
Oh my gosh.
Then, of course, Phil and I had just finished. The whole way it went was Hortales 2, Hortales 3, Doomsday Stories, 187 times, I Slay on Christmas. And that's when I told him, I said, Phil, I need a break. I want to do this comic book because he wanted me to do his movie Unearthed, and now he's doing Jacker 3. I just said, buddy, I can't do anything right now. And then Anthony Cabana is doing Bro Man, and he goes, Joel, I really want to have you in my movie. So basically, I'm doing that for him free. I said, I just want to help you out, man. I said, throw me gas money. I don't care. I just want to help you out. And because I get a lot of offers from a lot of people to do movies. And then I've done stuff with Rick here in town, of course, Rick Danford, Marcus Kempton. We all pretty much, collaborate. And I'm generally, if I wasn't so locked into the book and the comic, I'd be shooting something now. But I said, I want to do the book now. So, but yeah, so I still, even though I keep saying I'm not doing anything anymore, I really still am. I just kind of forget that I do these movies, people will get in touch with me. Hey, I want you to be in my movie. And I'm like, okay. And then we'll get together and I'll shoot it. So the ones here are easier. It's easier for me to shoot something here than to go get on a plane and fly to them. Like Todd Sheets had me in his movie Clownado. He was awesome to me. He, booked my flight, flew me out there, paid me $300 a day. I was there for 4 days, put me up in a hotel, bought all my food so I'd have it in the refrigerator for the days I wasn't working or where they dropped me off at night. He would limo me to the set and limo me home or back to the hotel. So, and then when I was in Minnesota by Jason Stevenson to do a couple of his movies, Strip Club Slasher, I was there for 3 or 4 days. They took care of me.
Oh my gosh.
Cameron Scott. He did Postmortem America 2021, and I worked for him. He flew me out to Indiana, I think. So yeah, it's just been great, keeping busy and going places and doing things. And our movies, Killing Spree, and I can't remember if Wicked Games, they played at the Cannes Film Festival way back in 87 or 88. I got Best Actor in the Italian Film Festival for Creep in 96, I think. And then just a bunch of different awards for either, because I like to do a lot of fighting scenes and action. So I get a lot of action fighting awards and stuff. And some Best Actor awards. Recently at Tampa Bay Underground Film Festival, they gave me a Living Legend Award. That was kind of cool to receive.
I read about that.
What's that?
I read about that.
Yeah, and then I got this one's older. It's a Lifetime Achievement Award. I got that from the Guzzo brothers from their festival down in Ybor. The something for the TFR, the Tampa Film Review. And so those little things are what is neat, because sometimes I get frustrated. I go, man, I'm not doing this anymore. And then I'll get somebody on Facebook that'll request me as a friend. And I always write to people. I go, because there's so much hacking going on. So yes. I'll write to them. I'll say, hey, I got your friend request. How did you hear of me? And then they'll tell me something like, I saw you in Dirty Cop No Donut, or I saw you in Creep, or I saw you in Lost Faith. And I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, I'll accept you. And then they're like, man, I loved you in that movie. And the movies are great. And you've been doing them for so long. And I hear people that I was going through high school watching your movies. That makes me feel old, but I don't care. When I was in Minnesota, I asked Jason, he's directing the movie, and with I forget his name now too, Joe Netter. And they were describing how they were going to shoot this fight scene. I go, Jason, I said, I don't want to, jump on you guys' toes or anything, but do you mind if I give my input on this? And Jason's like, "Are you kidding me? I've been watching your movies. I was in high school watching Truth or Dare. Please tell me what you think." And then I worked out the whole fight scene, because I
Oh
also
my
believe in
gosh.
keeping stuff safe on a set. And so, like, when
Mm-hmm.
we get into gun scenes, I won't say one thing where I got shot in the face. I don't want to embarrass the guy, but I got shot right here. The
Oh
gun
my
was the
gosh.
gun wrangler didn't check it. I missed it, and it's just like on the Crow. That's how Brandon Lee got killed. Um, but this was the
Oh my
pellet.
lord.
When you fire the gun, something still comes out of the gun, but it's not a bullet.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a padding. And that thing hit me probably 300 miles an hour there. If it was a little closer in, bypassing my glasses when we shot the scene, I had sunglasses. That would have took
Oh
my
my
eye out.
gosh.
So it's just, even on these little low budget things where these things can happen. When Kevin Rigo and I were doing a
Yes.
scene together, he's like, "Look, you're making me nervous. Let's check these guns." And I go, "No, absolutely." And I think you open them up and you check the clip, you make sure the clip's empty, and you make
Mm-hmm.
sure down the barrel's empty, the chamber's loaded. You got to be so careful. And this running around pointing guns at each other, even in bigger Hollywood movies, they should not be doing that. And you always got a guy running around with the gun going, "Hey, I shot you, I shot you." How many accidents and people
Mm-hmm.
got killed from doing that? So I don't know. I'm on my soapbox,
Exactly.
but that's how important the movie making is to me. You want to keep it real, you want to keep it cool, but you also got to be safe.
Most definitely. I mean, safety is the number one priority when making a movie. And speaking of movies, you've been in over 200. Where can we see these movies?
Um, they're all streaming. My boys are with their mom, and they recently told me, "Dad, we think it's so cool. You're on all these streaming channels." So people can go to Amazon, Amazon Prime, Tubi, Shutter, um, uh, a bunch of them I don't even know about, because some people call, "Hey, I watched your movie last night on blah blah." I go, "I don't even know what that is, man." So that's something my distributors would have done. I'm trying to think. Somebody wrote me on Facebook, and they go, "Hey, man, I just saw you in a movie called The Connection. You were in The Connection. I was the
I
sheriff in
was.
that. You were one of the gals in the store." And they just saw that. I think he goes, "It was so cool to see you. It was on Amazon Prime." And then I'm like, "Yeah." And I think I heard from Nick Naylor, told me, because that's one of our deals is we got Amazon. Well, they had everything, every streaming channel possible. The Connection was on. So that's what's cool about it. You can see it all there. Then I have all my distributors. Wild Eye Releasing has a lot of my movies. SRS has a lot of my movies. Um, there's I always forget the other one. Wild Eye, SRS, and there's one more, but and that's another thing that's very, very neat, because I keep very close with all my distributors.
Hmm.
I'll call them up and go, "Hey, man, I need to get 60 copies of this," and they'll give me a good price. I buy them. I go to my conventions where I'm a guest, and I have a big table, and I can sell my movies. So, because compared to one guy getting a movie for, maybe if it's $30 for Blu-ray or something, I might be able to get 30 of them and pay, $8 a piece or something, because I'm buying in quantity. So it's good to know all your distributors, because then you can work with them. I have leased out, sold one of my movies, leased out two of my movies. I always joke, because I said it's finally, my movies are actually making me some money, because all the streaming sources, the streaming pays nothing. That's left up to
Hmm.
the distributors. But if I sign the contract off to a oh, thanks, honey. Thank you. If I sign it off to a distributor, I'm signing off the release, but I'm still kind of in control of it. I'm getting a percentage out of that. And then they make the deals with the places where it's going to play. I know I had a friend of mine said, he goes, "Yeah, I can get you on these." I told him, I said, "I'm already on all those." I said, "If you want to do it, yes, do it. Send me the contract. That's fine." I said, "But for me to sit down and make that, I don't want to do that." That's. I had one guy, when they were buying Lost Faith, or not buying, but leasing it from me. He gave me his contract, and it was like 30 pages long. And I go, "Man,"
Oh my
I said,
gosh.
"Andrew, please take this back to the lawyer. I don't want to read all this crap." So he's like, "Okay." And he took it back, and they got it lessened down to 13 pages, which I could read and pretty much understand. And I signed it, and they took the movie for, I think, 7 years. And then I got it back again. So it's cool in every avenue. It's not like just make the movie. And that's the hard part. It's not like
Hmm.
just make the movie on your own. If you make it for someone else, you can just give it to them and they have all the hassles. But me, I have to make the movie, then I have to edit the movie, then I have to do the special effects, then I got to pay the sound guy in Japan, I got to pay my effects guy in Australia. You have to do all this stuff, then I have to edit it, then I have to make the package, then I have to burn the DVDs through my duplicator in Minnesota, and then I get back my movies, then I got to sell the movies, and then that's when I'll approach my distributors. When I've done as much as I can selling it, then I'll go to my distributors and go, hey, I got this movie, what, can you move it for me? Because I've done all I can, aside from just almost going through a phone book and go, oh, Jeffrey Miller at 15 Elm Street, I'll mail him, I'll write him, because the deal is to make money at this. A lot of people like they'll ask me to be in their movie, and I'll go, well, how much, can you pay me? I usually ask $300 a day, and they're like, well, don't you want to do it for free? I go, do you want to do your job for free? I always ask people that. They're like, well, can't you just work for me free? I go, where do you work, man? Well, I work at Target. I go, oh, do you get paid to work there? Well, of course I get paid to work there, you stupid idiot. Why don't you just go in and tell your boss that you want to work this week for free? What, are you insane? I go, that's how I feel. I need to be paid for that. But like I said, I think I'm a pretty nice guy. A lot of these younger filmmakers and the people I see coming up, and I'm old, I see these younger guys, I want to help them. So I will help them out and do something for free for them, because I want to be helpful to them. But on the other hand, the bigger guys, they know how to market their movies and the names and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I want to be able to, I keep busy with that, but stay in contact with them, with all my distributors. And then when it all comes down to it, you just, as an actor, you just want to, if you're working for somebody else, you just want to do the best job you can. And of course, for yourself, you want to do the best job you can, because every time I do a character, I try to make it different. Because Steve Nakota is kind of the nice guy, but he's a tough guy. Angus Lynch is a horrible monster of a guy. Cope Ransom is an anti-hero. Snake. But like I said, and all these characters on my shirt, all these. Dr. Robert Olson was a psychopath, that dealt with bringing dead bodies back to life. And I try and make those characters always different, so they just don't go. So people don't watch the movie and just go, Joel Wynkoop's the same as the Joel Wynkoop, because Steve Nakota is nothing like Dr. Robert Olson, and Angus Lynch from Creep is nothing like Dr. Robert Olson, or Gus Kimball from Dirty Cop No Donut. I try and keep all those characters apart and not play them the same. And the reason I say that is because, like, Denzel Washington, awesome actor, very cool, but each performance is Denzel Washington, just with a different script. And I'll try and change it to, I don't know, be creative and keep people interested in my movies and liking what I'm doing as far as making movies.
And that's the best way to be as an actor. So we're going to be going into closing remarks soon. I just have to ask you one last question. What advice would you give to new industry people today?
If you have an idea, just do it. I've said this for years. I was saying it before Nike was saying it. I was doing all the TV shows over in Fort Pierce and Vero Beach. I would go on their shows right after I did Creep and Outlaws Faith, and they would always ask me that too. And one of the gals said that, she says, what do you have to say? Like you were saying, to younger people, the people out there who want to have a book or they want to make a movie. I have always said, just do it. Long before Nike said that. They probably stole it from me. I don't know. I'm kidding. But so many, and it's happened to me, and I don't like to see it happen to people here. And people do. They see my newspaper articles or Facebook, or they know who I am, and they will ask me the same questions. And I say, first thing you got to do, and it's hard for me too, because I get negative, and people tease me about the way I shoot my stuff, or don't like my stuff, or I don't spend enough time. So it's kind of annoying. But what I've always said is, I don't care what they say. I don't care what they think. It's what I want to do. Like, well, the story would have been better if you would have done this and you would have done this. You know what? Make your own movie then, because this is my movie and this is what I'm doing. So, and I met a kid when he was a kid at the time. I think he was 15 or 16. He came to Heroes Haven. They had their comic book day. He came up and he bought a copy of Jodie Wynkoop's The Other Side, which is my television show about they're space-time agents that travel from one space-time into ours, to Earth, to correct things that are wrong and stuff. And I caught up with him years, like 6, 7, 8 years later. This guy reconnected with me. He said, "You're the reason I went to school. It wasn't acting. It was like all for cameras and, and all this." And he said, "I watched your movie and learned that you made movies, and you set me on my path to do my thing." I met people at conventions that have come up to me, "Man, you inspired us to make our own movie." And those are the cool things when you can hear. And for the longest time, it was like 1988, 89, Truth or Dare was in the film schools and the colleges, because and we didn't have Facebook then. This is just you're hearing this. And
Mm-hmm.
that they were they had to, I'm not getting my words right, right, theses. And in college you're like writing these big elaborate stories. What the hell are they? Thesis? Yeah, thesis. See, I know something. And but they were all about truth or dare. People were coming into and video stores. You don't even know what a video store is. You're a kid yet. When we had video stores. And I would go in there and people would be like, "Oh, you're in Truth or Dare?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, I just wrote a big thesis on that in my college." Which goes back to when I was in Minnesota. The guy was like, "I watched your movies when I was in high school." And I still get a lot of that. A lot of people, they seen like Truth or Dare when they were in high school, or Killing
Mm-hmm.
Spree. What's his face is what's that dude's name that likes Truth or Dare? Yeah, Elijah Wood is a huge fan of Truth or Dare, and he went on all the
Wow.
and he was saying, "Yeah, I watched this little movie called Tim Ritter's Truth or Dare. My brother made me. It's still my favorite movie today to date." And then we had AJ McLean from the Backstreet Boys. He was in our movie Truth or Dare. I remember sitting there showing how he was taking a razor blade and running up his wrist to let the blood pour out of him.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, so he was like working for us. And then uh, Joel Harlow, he worked for us. He made our Truth or Dare masks. He just took an Oscar. Well, not just, but a while ago, he took an Oscar
Mm-hmm.
for J.J. Abrams' Star Trek. And I still talk to him today. I'm like, "Hey, buddy, why don't you share the wealth over this way?" But yeah, so much I've covered through my life that I'll be able to, at least when I'm gone, I'll have left this stuff behind for other, people that are watching movies. My movies are out there so much. You can get them on DVD and get them on Blu-ray, you can get them on VHS or on all the streaming sources. So it's kind of cool to see that out there. But see, this is where I'm honest, where a lot of guys might sit
Mm-hmm.
back, movie makers or something, go, "Yeah, I pulled in 7 million last year." I have to struggle every day, between my agent, getting a hold of my agent. "Hey, can you get me a TV commercial? It's been a long time since I've been on television." Because for a while there, I was doing commercials all the time, and then it just slacked
Mm-hmm.
off. And that's what made me start making movies to begin with. So to anybody out there that is going, "Well, my mom said I shouldn't do it, and my dad said it was stupid." My dad said, "Don't try and be an actor, son. You're never going to make it." And he didn't get to live long enough to see what I have been able to do. Um, so yeah, when someone's putting you down, the best thing, and people write me and they ask me that, they go, "Well, I don't know, I want to make a movie, but I don't know how." And I go, "Dude, have you got a camera?" And he goes, "Yep, I got a camera." You need to find some people that are like you and around you. Find a guy that wants to do some acting and jump and find in front of the camera. Find a guy that wants to hold a shiny board in the background. You know how to find a guy that knows how to edit. And like I said, now everything's your phone. People pick up their phone. They shoot a whole damn movie in their phone. How do you think that makes me feel? We were growing with a super VHS, a great big huge camera we're using, but it's the same to the guys that were back before any of the video stuff, using film. And when we did Killing Spree, we shot on 16 millimeter, and Truth or Dare we shot on 16 millimeter. Killing Spree was horrible because we'd send the film away to be processed, and by the time we got it back and find out you had to redo it, you're 4 days behind and you have to start it over. That's why, and I can't remember who did video assist. I can't remember who did that. Um, but he's the guy that started it. You're shooting on film, but you have video next to it, so you can watch your video and know what that film's recording, instead of having the film printed, waiting for it to come back for you to check. They had video assist. I can't remember who made that. It was an actor, but also it might have been
Mm-hmm.
Clint Eastwood, but I'm not positive. But anyway, one of your viewers might know. But yeah, so anybody that tells you can't, I've been told a bunch of times, hey man, you can't. I had one guy get really mad, Larry Silver from the Barnes House of Horrors back in Stewart, because I worked for him as a actor in his scare house. And then it was like years later, I said, hey, Larry, remember me, Joel Wynkoop? He's like, hey, I go, hey, we're doing something new. My partner, Tim Ritter, and I, we're going to make a movie called, he goes, wait a minute, what? He goes, you're doing what? And he's really mad. I go, well, we're going to make a movie. You have no right to make a movie, Joel. You don't know anything about making movies. You can't expect people to work for you and act for. Are you crazy? You better shut that idea down, mister. He just went ballistic. And I go, all right, Larry, I'll see when I do a bunch of movies. And so I've always wondered if that guy's ever looked and go, well, I told him he couldn't do it, but 200 movies later, he's still doing them, you know, because there always will be somebody that'll say, you can't do that, man. That's impossible. You just
Exactly.
can't do it. And I've done it over and over and over again. So to anybody that says, oh, you know, I can't, you know, nobody will help. I can't. You can do it. Just find a way and do it, because you can.
Exactly. And for everyone in the audience, take that to heart. Just because they say you can't doesn't mean that you most definitely won't. You most definitely can. So I will end it there for tonight. Thank you so, so much for coming on tonight, Mr. Joe Wynkoop. It was an absolute pleasure to have you on, and it was an absolute honor to hear more about your story and learn about you more as a person.
Brie, thank you so much. You have been so sweet. Now, did I have you? I can't remember, because there was two of you about the same age, but one came with their mom, and I can't remember her name. It wasn't you. But did I have you on the Joel Wynkoop show like 10 years ago?
No, you did not.
Okay, it was just her. I apologize. You and I have seen each other at auditions. I met your mom and dad, I think, at
Yes.
something. Ian and I set up a thing at that comic book shop, Emerald City Comics, and you were there for that. I
Yes.
forget the movie, but you auditioned for that. But I've seen you at a lot of auditions. I think that's what it was. We've run across.
Yes, and you'll see me at a lot more.
What's that?
And you'll see me at a lot more.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you, Brie. I really do appreciate this. This means a lot to me that you took some interest to, get in touch with me on Facebook and ask me that. And that makes me feel really good. I really do appreciate it.
Of course, of course. And I'd love to have you back on to talk a little bit more.
Love it. Anytime.
For tonight, I wish you a wonderful night. Please be safe on your 10-mile walk. And for everyone in the audience, I love you guys so much. Please know that I will be back next week.